Bzzz. I'm excited about tonight's Frightening Friday flick because I'd never seen it before, and I always thought in the back of my head, oh man, this movie's gotta be silly. It's about something so dumb, and it's gotta be dated too. Well, tonight's movie review is The Fly. It came out in 1958, and it stars Patricia Owens, David Hedison, and Vincent Price. Usually I would have said Vincent Price first, but he wasn't the main character of the film. I would say Patricia Owens actually took over the leading role of the film. Anyways, The Fly, I would classify it as a horror film / science fiction. It was originally a story that was featured in a 1957 Playboy magazine, interestingly enough. But it was directed by Kurt Neumann, and this would actually turn out to be Neumann's biggest box office hit. However, it's a little bit sad. He would never know that because he died about a week before the movie was released to the general public, and the movie was a huge success. Now, before I watched the movie, as I said, I thought it would be stupid and silly. I also thought, okay, Vincent Price is in it. Vincent Price has to be the villain or something evil, or he's gonna end up being the Fly, basically the monster. This isn't a big spoiler, but if you're looking for a movie where he is the villain, this is not the movie. Vincent Price was actually a pretty good guy in the movie. And I enjoy films when Vincent Price is the nice guy. It's so interesting to watch Vincent Price play something that isn't bad or evil or whatever. I enjoy seeing him play different types of roles. So the plot of the story is a scientist played by David Hedison has discovered, he works in his house, like in his basement, and he has discovered this secret to teleportation. And it sounds great, right? Like, we can teleport to one place, like I can teleport to another state in a matter of seconds, not even at the speed of light. Well, of course, this is a horror movie. Something's gotta go wrong. He's doing these tests, he's trying to figure it out. What happens is the molecule, I don't know, I don't want to get too scientific, but on the molecular level, it's beamed down so hard that the person's molecules are transported to another area. That's basically it in my silly way of explaining it. But he first tests on objects, then he tests on his cat. And spoiler alert for animal lovers, so if you haven't seen the movie, his cat is hurt. And his cat disappears basically into space. Now, the movie's not about a cat, is it? It's about a fly. So the fly comes into place into the story when David Hedison, we don't even get to see the scene, but he apparently performs the experiment on himself, and when he does it, a fly happens to come into the machine with him. Now, since the fly's in the machine with him, it combines his molecules with the fly, which results in, of course, the fly having some of his molecules and him having some of the fly's molecules. Now, there's a whole story with Patricia Owens trying to help him. I'm not going to give the entire story away. Definitely don't want to, because this movie has so much suspense in it. This movie really gets your heart beating fast. But I will say Patricia Owens is trying to help her husband, and the scenes I'm really talking about are in order to get her husband back to normal, in his human body basically, she has to find this fly. Now she uses her son, who loves catching bugs, of course. She uses her son to help her find this fly. And I mean, come on, where are you gonna a fly? And I mean, it sounds impossible, right? So there are just these extremely intense scenes of them trying to catch this fly, and it really gets your heart beating fast. You're like, oh my God, catch this fly, please. And I thought this made the movie so good. And then even the whole fly, he's actually pretty, the makeup was amazing. And David Hedison has quoted that trying to act with this 20-pound head, fly head on him was like, he compared it to someone playing the piano with boxing gloves on. So it was very difficult for him to act with the 20-pound fly head on him. And also in the scene where apparently Patricia Owens was afraid of insects and bugs, and the director used this to his advantage. He didn't tell her, or she didn't get to see the fly head or the makeup for the fly until the scene where you finally get to see what her husband looks like as the fly, and she lets out this crazy scream, and it's definitely convincing. Patricia Owens, honestly, she acted very well in this movie. And Vincent Price, he's more of the supporting actor in this movie, and he does a great job. I loved him. I loved everybody in this movie. Honestly, it was a fantastic classic horror movie. I can totally see why it goes down in books as one of the greats. But anyways, let's see. So I do want to talk about the ending. So if you haven't seen the movie, please come back to this review after you've seen it. Okay. So in the ending, we see the fly. It's caught in a web, the fly that they were looking for, and the fly, of course, has David Hedison's head on a little fly body and a human arm, and it's so weird. And it was actually an animatronic, and Vincent Price was quoted saying that it was so hard for him to act in this scene because he would just keep cracking up at the sight of this little animatronic yelling out, help me, because a spider is about to eat him. And this scene, honestly, I'll never forget this scene. It wasn't scary really, but it was, you'll never forget it. It was definitely one of those classic movie moments. The movie was a huge success. It only cost $500,000 to make, and it made about $3 million. So The Fly was a huge success. It would go on to have 2 sequels, Return of the Fly and Curse of the Fly, which I'm planning on watching them because this movie was so good. And I know Vincent Price is in the next one, so keep your eyes open for that, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this Frightening Friday flick, and have a spooky one.